Good morning, Boulder County. It's Wednesday, April 15th, otherwise known as Tax Day. I'm your host, Shay Castle. And this is The Frequency, a weekly local podcast covering the news, events, and voices shaping the Boulder Valley. This podcast is made possible by listeners and local businesses. You can sponsor an episode of The Frequency and reach our growing audience of highly engaged listeners. Email boulderfrequency@gmail.com. Later today, we'll hear from the Caribou Current about the new issue, out now, and legendary guitarist Stanley Jordan, who will be playing Netherlands' Caribou Room this weekend. But first, the headlines. Cities can't charge for body cam footage when police misconduct is alleged, Colorado's Court of Appeals ruled last week. The ruling came in a case brought by Erie-based Kerosene magazine, which sued the city of Boulder for access to footage from a fatal December 2023 shooting by police. Boulder attempted to charge Kerosene more than $2,800 for unedited body cam footage of the killing. The magazine argued successfully in court the fees were prohibitive, essentially keeping the footage from becoming public. In a statement from Kerrosene's lawyers, attorney Matthew Simonson said, quote, "Today's ruling reaffirms what should have been obvious to Boulder when this lawsuit was filed 2 years ago. Police departments can't use exorbitant fees to hide their officers' misconduct behind a paywall." The ruling was also celebrated by the Colorado Freedom of Information Coalition, who put out a separate statement on the judgment. Boulder could appeal to the state Supreme Court. A spokesperson told Boulder Reporting Lab the city is evaluating its options. Artemis II returned safely to Earth on Friday after an historic 9-day mission. The 4-person crew captivated attention as they flew more than 250,000 miles from their home planet, the farthest humans have ever traveled in space. Colorado has numerous connections to the mission, including design and manufacturing of spacecraft parts in Denver. CU Boulder professor Paul Hain is part of the Artemis IV team, which plans to bring astronauts back to the surface of the moon for the first time since 1972. 2027 may be the last year for budget cuts in Boulder County, officials said in a press release last week. The announcement comes as the county is beginning to prepare next year's spending plan, and amid a $30 to $40 million deficit. The county trimmed $13 million from the 2026 budget, and in late 2025 laid off 31 employees, while dozens more took voluntary buyouts. At the time, county officials warned more job losses were likely. They confirmed that with an April 9th press release, writing, quote, "Additional job cuts will be necessary ahead of the 2027 budget year." However, the release continued, "We anticipate the 2027 budget being the last year of cuts, based on current financial projections for revenue." Read more at the links in our show notes. The city of Boulder is more than halfway to its affordable housing goal, according to a recent report. There are 4,326 permanently affordable homes in the city, meaning they are rent-restricted or income-limited in some way. That represents 8.9% of all housing in the city. Boulder has still not reached its original goal of 10%, set in the year 2000. The goal was increased to 15% in 2019. There have been 842 affordable units added to the city's housing stock in the 7 years since the goal was adjusted. Caribou Current, the new arts and culture publication from the Mountaineer, is in its 3rd month. April issue is out now. You're about to hear from Tyler Hickman, Jesse Gray, and Brittany Wagner about all the great content in this month's edition, plus some local can't-miss concerts happening this week.
The wait is over. I know everyone's been dying for another issue of Caribou Current, the best source for arts and culture journalism from the foothills to the peaks. So we thought we'd give it another whirl. I'm in the studio with our editor, Jesse Gray, to give you a little sneak peek of what's inside. After that, we'll hop into a conversation I had with the Mountaineer's Brittany Wagner about her interview with guitar legend Stanley Jordan ahead of his upcoming show at the Caribou Room. Jesse, how are we feeling about the April issue?
This is an issue that you can kind of hang on to a little bit longer than just a month. We've got our Red Rocks concert preview, which includes 11 handpicked concerts by Caribou Current staff. And these range from April to October. So this is an aerial look at the Red Rocks season, giving you the lowdown on everything from Ethel Cain to Weird Al. So whatever you're looking for this spring, summer, even early fall, when it comes to the greatest live music venue in the world, you'll find a really great roadmap in the pages of Caribou Current. Then we've also got 2 artist profiles, one on guitar legend Stanley Jordan, and then another on a emerging emo punk band called Kerosene Heights from Asheville, North Carolina. Those make a really good pair. Quite different, but both worth checking out. We've also got an update on the Nobo Art District here in North Boulder. Reporter Tony Tresca set out to find out what the new designation as a Colorado Creative District means for Nobo as they prepare for a major expansion with the BMoCA campus that's coming, and of course with the arrival of Sundance. Then we've got a Boulder Arts Week preview where we asked local partners from arts organizations like Roots Music Project, Streetwise, and the Dairy Arts Center to tell us kind of what they're stoked about in terms of Boulder Arts Week, which runs from April 3rd through the 12th. And then plus we've got all the regular stuff you can expect each month, from our Friday Night Weird underground film preview at the Dairy Arts Center to our top 10 bestsellers at Paradise Found Records, and of course, all the concerts and events that you could hope for in the coming weeks.
Yeah, this really feels like a bread and butter issue. It's music and art and everything that you can look forward to in both of those arenas reminds you what makes Boulder and the Front Range so special when it comes to this stuff, when we can just fill a book with music and art. With everything coming up in April, I wanted to ask you what the one can't miss concert from the foothills to the peaks is this month.
I'm going to say my can't miss concert is Kerosene Heights and Saturdays at Your Place, playing at the Fox Theater here in Boulder on April 15th. The headliner is the band Saturdays at Your Place from Kalamazoo, Michigan. They are a pretty hot item right now in the world of emo music. And then the opener is Kerosene Heights from Asheville, North Carolina. That's who you can read about in this month's issue. And I was really drawn to writing about that band because I love their blend of emo with pop punk, hardcore. It's a little more harder edged than the headliner for fans of bands like Title Fight. That's going to be a show that if you care about that kind of music, you definitely don't want to miss it.
Man, I think I'm going to have to go. Absolutely going to be a show that if you're into that brand of music, this is going to be one for you.
Let's go. April 15th. We'll see you guys there.
Yeah, we'll see you there. My end, I have a couple of events that I think are going to be can't miss. The first one is Bigfoot Days in Estes on Saturday, April 25th, if only for the Bigfoot Call competition. You seriously will not believe the sounds that these people can make, and it's pretty convincing. Almost convincing enough to make you wonder if these are the people who are perpetuating the myth of Bigfoot. With that, we are going to jump into my talk with Britt about Stanley Jordan. If you're not familiar, which I wasn't, there's a good chance he's your favorite guitar player's favorite guitar player. The guy's an absolute legend, and he'll be in net. So here's a little primer of what to expect from his April 18th show. Welcome to the podcast, Britt. How's it going?
Going really good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm really excited to talk to you about this story that you wrote for Caribou Current this month on Stanley Jordan. Really, really interesting to get inside his head. I love hearing about how an artist makes music, and for a guitar legend like Stanley Jordan to be playing the Caribou Room in Netherlands, it's just cool to have the perspective ahead of his show coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. He was really interesting to talk to.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm curious, I going into reading this, I actually had not heard of Stanley Jordan myself. So I was wondering if you could kind of describe his music to someone who hasn't listened to it before.
Well, so, he plays jazz guitar, but with the touch technique that he uses, to me, it kind of sounds like raindrops.
I can play with just my left hand or with just my right hand.
It's like very much a staccato style. It's just like these little tapping notes.
Or both together.
And, he's playing the bass line, harmony, melody all at once. So it's very complex, but also at the same time, I feel like you don't have to be someone who likes jazz to like his playing.
Yeah, I feel like jazz can be like inaccessible to some people, or they like think it is because it's has this air of complexity to it. So it's cool to hear, you don't have to be a jazz aficionado or a nut about like the math of music to really get into it. Yeah.
Well, he also does some really cool interpretations of songs too, like he does like Eleanor Rigby. He does his own version of that with like his style. So like there's songs that people would recognize, he just plays them in like this jazz style with his touch technique. And it's pretty complex, but like very accessible, I feel like, to all.
What is that touch technique? I hadn't heard of that before.
He uses both of his hands on the neck of the guitar instead of just one. And he like alternates notes between fingers. So like he's like basically when he's playing, he's tapping back and forth with his fingers, different individual notes.
It's so crazy. I like was looking at photos of him playing with two guitars at the same time. Yeah, so such a cool look. In the piece, Stanley mentions some of the transitions in his latest record, Feather in the Wind, from this sort of like melancholy sound to more uplifting melodies. And he said that it kind of mirrors the emotions that drove the creation of this new record. I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about the inspiration behind this last collection.
Yeah, so I think that this record was really was deeply emotional for Stanley because he lost a lot of people while he was recording it. One of them being his dad, and so I think that a lot of that emotion went into the record, but instead of just focusing on the kind of like the sadness of experiencing that, he was talking about how we face loss and what we do to keep going. So like with the Picardy Third, which he was talking about, where you go from, like a more melancholy sound to like a more uplifting sound. He was kind of comparing that to how he dealt with death of his friends and his dad, and how he, instead of staying in the sadness, he moved forward to a brighter place.
Yeah. I thought that was really interesting hearing again, for someone who like, I know very little about the mechanics of music, listening to him talk about this like classical technique, Picardy Third, and how he uses that to capture the emotion behind the record was just so cool to understand the actual mechanics behind making music that makes you feel a certain type of way.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool.
So you're a musician yourself, and I wanted to know from your perspective what it's like talking to and getting to pick the brain of like a true master of the trade and of the guitar, talk about his own process in making music.
Yeah, honestly, it was pretty magical. I really enjoyed getting to ask him questions like what he does to prepare for a show, who his guitar heroes were. He also just has such like an interesting way of explaining music, and hear, like you're saying, like listening to someone who's just truly such a master. Especially like, I'm more of a songwriter than a guitar player. Like I play guitar, but like, my guitar skills are very average. Like he writes lyrics with his notes, like his musical notes. So, to like talk to someone who is just writing music from like such the purest form like that, it was just really cool. I felt really honored to talk to him.
Who were some of his guitar heroes that he brought up in that conversation?
I was actually kind of surprised by this, but he told me that basically that Jimi Hendrix was like one of his first, and that when Jimi Hendrix died, that's when he decided that he had to play guitar. So I thought that was really interesting. B.B. King, he said, was his like number one first guitar hero. Who was actually supposed to record on the album, but he passed away before that happened. So Stanley decided to play the song still and play his part, but just as like kind of like a tribute. And so I'm really looking forward to hearing that. I think that's going to be really, really awesome.
So how exciting is it to have someone like Stanley coming to play a pretty small room in a pretty small town in Nederland?
I mean, it's really trippy, honestly. It's really cool that he's going to be there. It is a really small, intimate room. And just, music is such a big part of this town and has been for such a long time. And Stanley, he's played in Nederland, like in the past in like Nedfest. So to have like a legend like that, he said himself how much he loves the Caribou Room and the vibe of the people. That's a really cool feeling. I'm really excited to see him in such a small space because I didn't get to see him last time he was here.
What are you most excited about for this upcoming show?
I'm really excited to see him do the two guitar technique. Yeah. I think that's going to be really interesting to watch. Cause I mean, I've seen videos of him playing just the touch technique with the two hands on the one neck, but to see him do that on two different guitars, I think that's going to be really cool. I'm really excited to like see what that sounds like. I honestly don't really know what to expect from that. So I'm excited about that. And I'm also looking forward to hearing some of the songs from the new album, Feather in the Wind.
Does he get up there and he plays songs that he's written, or is it a little bit more like jammy freestyle, like you would expect from a jazz show?
I think it honestly depends on his mood, it sounds like. He said he never goes out there knowing exactly what he's going to do, but he says, sometimes he'll, go out there and play, maybe just a certain song, but he also says that he does like improvisational jamming and stuff like that. So I think every show is probably really unique.
Yeah, it definitely makes for kind of a can't miss concert.
Yeah, I agree.
So that show is coming up on Saturday, April 18th at the Caribou Room in Nederland. Where can you get tickets? Just at the Caribou Room?
You can get tickets online from thecaribouroom.com, or you can get tickets at the door if it's not sold out.
Well, thanks for coming on. Really, really appreciate it. Check out the piece. It's in this month's issue of Caribou Current. Pick it up, find a copy, read it. It's a great piece. You did a great job with it. So thanks for coming on, Britt.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Catch Stanley Jordan at the Caribou Room this weekend. That show is Saturday, April 18th. Thanks again to Jezzy and Brittany for coming on the show, and Tyler for pulling it all together. That Kerosene Heights concert Jezzy mentioned is tonight, April 15th, at the Fox. So if you're listening Wednesday morning, get your tickets ASAP. You can find the Caribou Current at a number of local coffee shops and businesses throughout Boulder County. Or pick up a copy at our offices in South Boulder, right next door and upstairs from Nepal House. I recommend their lunch buffet while you're over there. Next week, we'll hear from a local child psychologist on 2 recent court rulings with huge implications for children's mental health. Thanks for listening. Before you go, Here's one more thing.
Integrity Houston, are you ready for the event?
Houston Integrity, we are ready for the event.
As you all know, there is so much division at home right now. What is it that you're feeling, and what message do you want to send to the American people about what you're seeing out that window?
Well, the first thing I would say is trust us. You look amazing. You look beautiful. And from up here, you also look like one thing. You know, Homo sapiens is all of us, no matter where you're from or you know, what you look like. We're all one people. And so, you know, this mission, one of the things that's amazing about being around and just being an astronaut, you know, serving our countries at this time is that we get to give ourselves a mission that we can hold on to say, hey, look at what we did for the rest of our lives. You know, we call amazing things that humans do moonshots for a reason, because this brought us together and showed us what we can do when we put, not just putting our differences aside, when we bring our differences together and use all the strengths to accomplish something great. And so this mission will give us one of those that we all can remember and hold on to for the rest of our days. And I hope people will tune in and give us a chance.
Integrity, what an honor to speak with you. Thank you so much.